am lying on my back in a dark room and waiting. There is jelly on my belly, and I'm ready. I have this situation under control. I am about to get my vindication, my proof of life. I've been trying to get pregnant for a while, and not exactly the kind of person who's very good at trying to do anything. I don't try to do things. I do things. I get things done. Things do not stand a chance, usually. But it's been a while and nothing, except a couple of weeks ago, I got a yes. I got 2 pink lines. I got a plus sign. I got a smiley face. 3 different pregnancy tests say I'm pregnant. My family doctor says I'm pregnant. I still have my doubts, though, because we're still talking like pee on a stick. And maybe I'm just keep peeing on the stick wrong. So here I am. I'm finally pregnant enough, and I'm about to get my proof of life. So my ultrasound technician looks at me, and she's pushing the cold gel around on my belly, and she says, nothing. A couple of minutes, she's clicking and pushing and says, nothing, and nothing, and nothing. She's silent. Finally, she looks at me and she says, how far along are you again? And I say, 9.5 weeks. And she says, are you sure? And I feel this cold knot forming in my chest. And she says, is it possible you may have miscalculated by a couple of weeks? And I say, couple of weeks? No way. And that knot in my chest grows and starts traveling from my chest down into my stomach. And again, she says nothing and nothing. And finally, she looks at me and she says, you should talk to your family doctor. So she sends me to my family doctor, and my family doctor sends me to the emergency room, and I am now at the emergency room, and no one has said anything. No one has said the words yet. So I walk from one room to another room, and from one doctor to another doctor, and I carry that cold knot in my chest, but I also carry this tiny glimmer of hope. And I'm finally seen by the emergency physician. And he looks sad. And he finally says the words that no one has said. He says, I'm so sorry. He says, they couldn't find the heartbeat. He says, this is not a viable pregnancy. You're probably going to miscarry in the next couple of days. Or we can induce you here today. And just like that tiny glimmer of hope goes out. And I'm almost relieved because it was that glimmer that was killing me. So I nod at the sad doctor and I shake my head and I go home to wait. 2 days go by and I listen to every symptom and every twinge. Is this it? And is that it? And is that how it's gonna feel? Is this how it's gonna start? How is it gonna start? When is it gonna start? How long is it gonna take? And I also don't know what to feel. Am I supposed to feel anger, sadness, grief, maybe all of the above? The thing is, I don't know if I can handle all of the above, so I feel like if I could just pick one, I could do it, but I don't know how to pick. So I need answers. So of course, I turn to Google. So I Google no heartbeat during ultrasound, and I Google how long does it take to have a missed miscarriage, and I find out that it's super common, and I find out that I can expect some cramping and some bleeding, and then I Google miscarriage quotes. And then my screen is instantly filled by angels and flowers and teddy bears and the quotes. I have never met you, but I will always wonder who you would have been. I will hold you in my heart forever. So first of all, barf. Second of all, I think now my screen is broken because the words are blurry and I can't read anything, and now my eyes are leaking. But 4 days go by, and I have a work event hosted at a 5-star hotel, and I am going. I'm going because I'm not the kind of person to wait by the toilet for this miscarriage to happen. So I check into Shangri frickin' Law, and I try to enjoy myself. I have myself a fancy dinner at a fancy restaurant, and I take a fancy shower, and then I retire to bed in my fancy room. Except I don't sleep well. I start cramping overnight, and the night is long, and in the morning the cramps are getting stronger and stronger. Something's happening. So I do what any girl in my situation would do. I draw myself a bath, and I order room service. Coffee, peanut butter toast, and bubbles. Things are looking up. I even decide to shave my legs, pull myself up, and I sit on the edge of the bathtub. And suddenly there is a deep roll in my stomach. And then there is a gush. And the water in the bathtub goes red. And suddenly I am gripped by this primal panic. I am terrified. There is cold sweat running down my back. That is a lot of blood, and not blood. People are not supposed to bleed this much, and also, what the hell is all that not blood? And I'm still sitting in the bathtub, knee-deep in water or blood. I can't tell, and I'm so scared, and I really don't want to bleed alone. So I pull out my phone, and I call Aubrey. And she picks up on the first ring, and I say, I think this is happening. Can you please come? And she says, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And I am flooded with relief. And as I wait for her, I try and get out of the bathtub, try and get cleaned up, make my way over to a shower stall, but there's another gush. And as I look around and I take in this scene, there's a full bathtub of water, deep red, and now there is a puddle of blood and bits of tissue on white tiles. There are drops of blood in the shower stall, and in the middle of it all, I am butt naked and sweaty and freaked out. And at the same time, I am strangely amused. Because this is a disaster. This whole thing is ridiculous. It's like I've been dropped in the middle of the horror movie set. So I am literally suppressing hysterical giggling as the phone rings. And it is the reception from downstairs. They want me to know that Aubrey is here. So as I'm waiting for her to come upstairs, I pull out my phone and I open up Spotify and I queue up a song. Then I hear a knock on the door, and Aubrey opens the door, and as she enters, I press play, and all both of us hear is dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun 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 dun. It's the Jaws soundtrack. Aubrey comes in and takes in the scene. Totally calm, poker face. And she says, hi, how are you doing? And I say, how do you like the music? And she says, ha. And smirks. And in that moment, I am so grateful for that smirk. I am so grateful that she takes this in stride. Not just the blood bath, but also the dark humor, because this whole situation is so out of my control, and the only thing I do control in the moment is that ability to make dark jokes, to make light of the impossible situation. But then Aubrey looks at me and her face changes, and she says, oh my God, you look gray. I'm gonna call for help. So she runs downstairs to reception, and she approaches the reception lady, and she says, hi. My friend is having a miscarriage on the 7th floor. Would you call 911? And the reception lady, totally calm, poker face. But she does call 911. So a few minutes later, there is a knock on the door, and 2 EMTs enter my fancy room. I'm still gray, and I am actually feeling kind of out of it. But they enter, and they examine me, and they check my blood pressure. And after a few minutes, they lay me down on a stretcher, and they start carrying me out of the room. And as they carry me out of the room, there's another person standing in the doorway. He's wearing a name tag. It's the hotel manager. And as they carry me past him, I look him straight in the eye and I say, thank you so much. The customer service at your hotel has been outstanding. Then I say, I will recommend your hotel to all of my friends planning to have a miscarriage. So the EMTs carry me past the hotel manager, who's still white as a sheet, and to the hospital 2 blocks away. And for the rest of the day, I am wheeled from room to room, and I'm given fluids, and I'm asked questions, and I cry, and I laugh, and I make dark jokes. And a few hours go by, and I'm okay. I'm faint, I'm weak, but I'm okay. So I get discharged, and I go back to my fancy hotel. They moved me to another room. But they didn't just move me to another room. Every single item, every single possession that I had was moved and replaced in exactly the same spot. In that other room, my makeup brushes are lined up on the washcloth by the sink. My shoes are lined up by the door, and my book is placed on my nightstand with a bookmark. And then there's a tray with a teapot full of chamomile tea and a bouquet of flowers and a card. And it says, Dear Kate, we hope you get well soon. Signed by the hotel manager. So when I say the customer service there was great, and I would recommend that hotel to anyone, I mean it. The customer service was outstanding. Thank you.
Kate Solo.